And now, something strange happens. 4 of the levels have been ruined completely, but a new strange robot has shown up at each of the 4 other levels. No explanation is given for this in the game, so what you just saw, that is the only explanation you're going to get. And we're just going to start with the upper left, because... whatever. Now you'll notice I'm back in Sparkman's level, but it's been changed slightly. There's no ladder there, just a crumbled platform. Hard Knuckle, by the way, this is Hard Knuckle. It's a rocket punch. You can make it climb up and down by holding up and down. But you really can't adjust it much to be that useful. Mad Adventurer says, Hard Knuckle, there's gotta be a treatment for that. And while I was reading his joke, I wasn't looking at what I was doing, and there was a bug on the ladder. Again, easily distracted by the chat. You guys could probably game over me if you tried hard enough. Whoops. So you'll notice again we have to deal with these spiky or spark shooting guys, but a new feature. These little rolling platforms. They function like conveyor belts. And now we have to deal with a couple in a row, in alternating directions, in a bottomless pit. And now here's another room of them. Do you get them? That middle one's actually kind of a bitch, because as you come out of your jump, you're holding the direction that it's going in. So it'll cause you to kind of run off the edge if you don't switch quickly enough. And as I kind of mentioned, there's a sort of a little bit of a bug where Mega Man takes a couple extra frames to turn around, which can screw you in that spot. And already we're at a boss door. What could be beyond? Who knows? This is Doc Robot. No real explanation is given for Doc Robot, but you'll notice that he just downloaded the program of another robot. That would be Metal Man, one of the bosses from Mega Man 2. And you're going to face all 8 of the bosses from Mega Man 2. Each of these Mega Man 2 bosses behave exactly like their Mega Man 2 counterparts, so this is what Metal Man did. And they each have 2 weaknesses. Metal Man is weak to the Magnet Missile, and also to Hard Knuckle, but he's almost impossible to hit with that, so you're just going to have to trust me. And then the level continues. If you do the math, you'll notice I just said that there are 8 bosses and 4 levels, so you can probably figure out what's going on. Oop, I didn't quite move over fast enough. That's embarrassing. Oh shit, it doesn't checkpoint? That's kind of annoying. Alright, so you're gonna get to see Metal Man again. Well, hey. Let's see if I can remember all the things I said about this. Oh, I was supposed to read Mad Adventurer's joke there, so I'd get knocked off the ladder, and then mention that you guys could probably game over me if you really made a concerted effort just by spamming jokes at me. And then at that point I kind of noticed that O-Dog said that getting me killed in game is what everybody is here for, which I appreciate. And then I started talking again about the in-level difficulty curve, pointing out that each of these little encounters with the platforms is a little bit more difficult than the last one. And here in this room I mentioned the turnaround glitch again, which can cause you to fall off that middle platform and die. Oh, and then I finally remembered that those guys are weak to Gemini Laser. Alright. I might have to resort to Hard Knuckle. This could get bad. I'm gonna save state. Alright, so this is Metal Man again. Just like from Mega Man 2. He's got 2 weaknesses. You'll also notice that he's also kind of keyed off what I do. That is, if I hit buttons... If I don't hit buttons, he doesn't really do much. Occasionally he'll... Wait, did I remember to save state the first time? I'm save stating here, because I don't want to go... I'm making my own checkpoint. There should have been a checkpoint there. There we go. Honestly, you know what? The whole instant kill thing is a real pain in the ass. It's the only thing in Mega Man that doesn't give you any margin for error are those instant kill spikes. Also, I have to say that from a design perspective, it was kind of neat of them to reuse the levels, because now they can revisit the gimmicks again, and kind of put them together in different ways, change things up. So they get kind of more mileage out of each one of the level's gimmicks, because the levels themselves are actually fairly short. And honestly, it was sort of the structure of the Mega Man games that require the levels to be fairly short. Because, again, remember the key was that trial and error type of gameplay. And if the levels were too long, that just would have become really painful after a while. So, anywho... I think... Another Mega Man 2 boss, this is Quick Man. I did save... Oh, I'm gonna save state there. Okay. Quick Man has 2 weaknesses. Gemini Laser and Search Snake. Now, you'll notice that he is extremely fast. His attacks are very difficult to dodge, and he moves kind of at random. He's another one of those bosses that is really, really tough. And Gemini Laser is a terrible weapon to use against him. For the reason that it kind of bounces around on the screen and you can't use it again. The other weapon that's useful against him is Search Snake, which is a ground-based weapon, and Gemini Man spends all of his time in the air jumping. And if you want an indictment of the game being rushed to production, this is it. Now, this is kind of a technical point, so I'm gonna try and explain it. But every one of the Mega Man 2 bosses yeah, this is gonna be a pain in the ass, isn't it? Alright. I'm just gonna have to be willing to use my energy tanks as I need them. Not taking any chances here. Okay. You know what? I'll talk about that technical point in just a second. Alright. So here's the deal. Remember how I pointed out that there are 2 boss rotations in this game? You know, there's 5 weapons that you can cycle through the bosses on, and each one in sequence is weak against the last. And then there's 3 weapons that create a different cycle. If you put all of the Mega Man 2 bosses' weaknesses down a list, what you'll find is that they actually just got matched up in the order of the boss sequences. Okay? That is, you know, Metal Man is weak against Magnet and Hard Man, Crash Man is weak against Hard and Top Man, and so on and so forth. And that follows those two boss rotations. As if they just had a list and went down and just assigned the weaknesses at random. Which they might have done in the beginning to test out the boss's AIs and just make sure they were running okay. And then once you've tweaked their AIs and their attack patterns, you go back through and you repair them up with different weapons to match their combat styles. So that the weapons they're weak against are actually useful against them. Gemini Man is an example of one of the bosses that really suffers from the fact that they clearly didn't do that second pass where they matched up the bosses against the weaknesses. They just programmed them with some default weaknesses in their little checklist order and called it a day. Which, again, because the game was kind of rushed to production, means that they might have done a little bit better job on this second part of the game if they had given that second pass. There's a couple of other bosses like that I'm going to point out. Where their weapons clearly do not match up in any good way. Oh yeah, Shazba saying, yeah, without thinking about how awful the actual weapons would be. Right, exactly. They didn't think about how the weapons would match up, but again, that's something that they would do after they kind of designed all the bosses and made sure that they were programmed correctly and could move around and fight the way they were supposed to. Then they would go back and redo all the weapons. So it was kind of like a placeholder that they never... It was almost like a... for the role-playing game, it was almost like a C-page XX, where they just never went through and fixed all the references. Now again, that's something that I can't prove happened, but it's really suspicious that that happened. And Shazba is saying, do I think it was thoughtless or purposely to drive challenge? And I'm gonna say no. I don't think it was purposely to drive challenge, because in general the Mega Man series is designed really well by people who very clearly understand how to design good challenges and difficulty curves. I honestly think just because of the sort of checklist, the way that the rotations match up exactly, I really think it was a thing that they meant to fix in quality assurance and didn't. And now here we have the next Mega Man 2 boss, and here's another issue. So this is Flash Man. He had the power to stop time, and he is weak to Needle Man and Gemini Cannon. And you might remember Needle Man is weak against the Gemini Cannon, so again, you've got that kind of checklist approach. So here's the tricky issue with Flash Man. In Mega Man 2, he pretty much fought with the exact same pattern. He would run back and forth, he would freeze time, he stayed pretty low, so you couldn't get under him. And he would occasionally freeze time and shoot you. And the way you dealt with it was that he was small enough that you could jump over. He was about the same size as Mega Man. But in this game, the Doc Robot sprite, and therefore the Doc Robot hitbox, are much taller than Flash Man originally was. So you no longer can clear him in a jump. And because of the way his boss room is designed, you end up being unable to avoid him running into you as he passes back and forth through the room. So again, it was just a spot where they didn't really check things out. They didn't give it another polish, you know? They designed it, they copied over his AI exactly so that he had the same behavior, but they didn't consider how such a small thing like changing the height of the sprite, the tallness of the sprite, would change the way the fight played out. Ah, man, I tried to slide and got stuck on the ladder because I was hitting down. I'm gonna die, aren't I? Alright, do I have any E-tanks left? No. Alright, I'm gonna have to try to not die. As opposed to what I've been doing all along, which is, you know, just kind of like making a cock up of the whole thing. No. Alright. I can die here if I have to. This is another Mega Man 2 boss. This is Bubble Man. Now, I will remind you that this robot with the bubble cannon was intentionally designed by an evil robot genius to kill Mega Man. It was decided that bubbles were a good strategy. Bubble Man is weak against Shadow Man and Spark Man. And we're going to go ahead and use Spark Shot because it's got a longer range. And it actually matches up pretty well, because you'll see that he kind of... So he jumps up to the top of this, or he shoots a couple of rolling bubbles, 1 to 3 bouncing bubbles, then he'll loose a couple of other shots, float across the screen. Your jump is greatly enhanced in this room because you're underwater, so that you can actually jump into the ceiling. But the ceiling is covered with instant death spikes. Again, pretty much identical to Mega Man 2. I'm just going to continue going around in sort of counterclockwise order. We'll go to Shadow Man next. Again, same basic level, but you'll now notice that the walls are lined with death spikes. And that little pit of spikes there on the side is just delightful. This is one of the two harder levels. It's kind of why I saved them for last. Alright. And basically the same gimmick. We'll go back to using the Search Snake, but it does add a little feature. And, here's a spot where the little in-level difficulty curve thing didn't quite help out, because this is the first time in the game you see those weird red platforms there, and you have to deal with them while you're already in the dark. Usually the Mega Man games would be smart enough to let you deal with a couple before they add another gimmick, but basically, you have a very, very short period of time to get off the platform and make it to the next one before it opens and drops you. That area is not so... Whoops, the lights didn't come back on when I destroyed the shadow generator. Fortunately, Search Snake. The problem is these platforms are really unforgiving, and I actually just save stated because of that. Yeah, I knew that last one was going to be a problem. You have a very short number of of frames on each platform to actually adjust your position. And if you're not far enough over, then with each jump, you come up just a little short on the next jump. There we go. I actually... Gremlin's mentioning this music makes it really nostalgic. This is one of my favorite tracks in Mega Man 3, is Shadow Man's stage. The Mad Adventurer is pointing out that yes, that you could have just jetted across there. And the answer is yes, in that particular case, I could have jet sledded across the area. I tend not to. Especially because you can kind of glitch it out to get infinite jet sleds. It kind of feels like cheating. And I prefer to be good at the game, you know? Or reasonably good. It's just kind of a point of pride. So now we face Woodman, and we have another area where a little bit of testing was in order. So Woodman functions just like his, just like he did in Mega Man 2. He generates his leaf shield, which reflects your shots. Then he shoot some leaves up at the top of the screen, then he advances on you. The problem with Woodman is that he is taller, again, than his Mega Man 2 counterpart. So, in Mega Man 2, you could actually jump over his leaf shield as he shot it at you. Because his sprite is taller in this game, you actually can't clear his leaf shield, so you just have to sit there and take the damage. I thought something else was coming. Uh-oh. Okay, I just kind of panicked there, didn't I? And that was one of those spots where the turnaround didn't quite work. Gremlin asks, is Woodman vulnerable to Hard Knuckle? I'm not going to dignify that with a response, I don't think. The answer be... Oh, also, if you had been following everything that I said about the boss orders and the list of weaknesses, you could figure out what his other weakness is, so clearly someone was not paying attention. I'm going to die. Alright, so that one checkmarked. That's weird, so it's just the Sparkman stage that doesn't have a checkpoint in the middle? That's another odd thing to miss. Of all the joys in life, I like nitpicking the most. Which explains the breakup of my last 6 relationships. You would not believe what those people thought was fun. Oh, man. Gremlin is saying that may or may not have been intentional. What are you referring to? Thanks to the Twitch delay, I have no idea what comment that lined up with. Alright, you know what? I just remembered how I usually get through here. Except for the fact that those guys glitch and occasionally they just do not get affected by weapons that touch them. So, that's that. Okay. Yeah, I should have been... A lot of Mega Man is just remembering... just kind of remembering things at a certain point. And if I remember correctly, now I am dealing with Heatman. And Heatman is another great example of just a really poor weapon match. Heatman is vulnerable to Shadow Blade and the Top Spin, which are both very short-range weapons, which are difficult to deal with because of his attack. He's gonna kill me, isn't he? Yeah, I kinda knew that was coming. Okay. He's tough to deal with from short range. And dealing with him with the top spin is just asking to get killed for... especially because it's prone to glitch out and just completely run out of energy on one hit with him. But basically, Heatman's pattern is he will land and immediately throw those fires. And then, if you don't hit him, he will keep throwing the fires again and again and again until you actually do hit him with a weapon. The thing with him that makes him kind of tough to deal with is that he comes out of that fire charge attack where you are rather than where you were. So if you're jumping over him a little bit too early or a little bit too late, he's going to reappear either in you as you come out of the jump or as you are going into your jump. So it's a very, very difficult little it's a very precise timing there. And because his sprite is, again, bigger than Mega Man's, it's tough to avoid. Heatman is actually really... I should have done Mega Man 2 first. Actually, one of the things I was thinking of doing for the Extra Life thing was actually to live stream all of the Mega Man games in order, and then if that didn't take 24 hours, all of the Mega Man Game Boy games, and then all of the Mega Man X, as long as I could go for 24 hours. But then I guilted my gaming group into you know, just playing games for the live stream instead. That didn't work so well. Damn it. Whoops. Now I'm trying to avoid using up the rush jet here, because in this level is an area of absolutely appalling level design. Yeah, O-Dog, I am still way ahead of the group on donations, and I'd really like to find ways to push some more donations to the players. I'm out of lives again. Who do I have to deal with here? Okay. I can't remember who... I want to think it's got to be Airman, so I'm thinking... Yeah, it's Airman. So this is Airman. He's weak to the magnet missile and also to hard knuckle or spark shot. Doesn't matter, I'm not going to use it. Now, the thing that makes him tricky is, you know, apart from dodging those tornadoes, is the fact that I don't have enough energy to do... Oh, this is gonna be bad. Alright, so... This is probably the worst part of this game. Okay. And the only saving grace... Apart from the fact that you come into here with very little health, this is a forced rush jet section. And as you're going through it, you're draining Rush's energy, and for a moment we're going to pretend it's not glitched so that you can actually trick it to giving you infinite energy. Because the thing is, if you keep jumping perpetually, you're going to jump into the enemies. And if you miss any one of the weapon pickups... you're pretty much fucked. The sprite limit slowdown does not help the situation, and you will pretty much always just barely make it. And what that means is, if you die at this point, because the weapon pickups do not come back, you will not have enough rush jet energy, no matter what, to do that a second time. So, you could get into this level with 6 lives, and if you die at this point, you cannot get past that section. There's no way to refill the weapon. And now, what they do is they immediately throw mini-bosses at you. And this is going to be my downfall. I'm going to tell you that right now. So this is the giant Met Hat. I don't know why the name, by the way, is Met Hat. I also don't know why they have medical helmets on. What would save me is if they would, if one of them would drop a health pickup. And I don't want to sit here and farm the health, but I'm gonna game over if I don't. And as I said, if you don't... Like, if you die here, you cannot get past the rush jet sequence. So it's a really bad placement of mini-bosses, of weapon pickups. Just overall, it's a really miserable section of the game. Again, I feel that it's something that the level designers would have picked up if they'd had a little bit more time to go through everything. And here we go again. Yeah, by the way, there are 2 mini-bosses, and you still have not reached a checkpoint, so if you die, you're still going back to the rush jet section. I'm gonna kind of preserve my needle cannon here. Gonna hope for a few more health pickups. Yeah, Gremlin is pointing out that at least I have an extra life, but the problem is, like I said, if I die here, I'm going back to that rush jet section and can't refill my rush jet, so I will not have enough energy to get across that sequence. That's what I'm saying. This level is you have 1 life to get through it. Because all of those the weapon energy pickups in that section, they do not come back when you die. And being asked to deal with 2 mini-bosses... Oh, and this is another great thing here. He's kind of stuck in a sequence where he won't come low enough for me to hit him. Because his movements are essentially random. So... that's just ducky, too. The slowdown does not help that at all, either. All in all, this level is just a screw job. I hate this level so much. But I am up to the last boss, and speaking of weapons that do not match the boss at all, we're dealing with Crashman here. He is weak to Topspin and Hard Knuckle. Topspin is a little bit easier to deal with him with, except for the fact that you end up taking a lot of damage. Especially if... And also there's that... Yeah, I did save. And also there's the possibility of it glitching out so that you lose all your topspin energy again. The trick with Crashman, and I'm not quite landing it, is that he will always jump and attack when you attack. So if you get into just the right spot, you can make him jump into your attacks. Ah, damn it. If I had planned this a little better, I would have practiced this whole game before I came in to stream it, just so that I wasn't rusty. So, sorry everybody. Alright, see if we can get a few hits in with the hard knuckle. Because, again, with the AI trick of knowing that he's going to jump when you fire, you can sometimes kind of trick him into... Yeah, see? Okay, well, maybe I should have done that the first time. Crashman is not wearing a beret. Oh, dog. Not a beret. Oh yeah, Gremlin, I am not saying that Mega Man 2 was a pinnacle of design. In fact, Mega Man 2 was kind of a mess. It's my favorite in the Mega Man series, but it was a real mess. This one just needed a quality assurance pass. And now we can see the real villain has appeared. Breakman. I like... And that little flute is... Yep, you're right. I actually purposely died to that boss 4 times without using the hard knuckle, just so that you wouldn't be able to make hard knuckle jokes. Gremlin is saying the only reason I didn't use the hard knuckle is because I was afraid of the double entendres coming out of the chat. And now a cutscene! The only cutscene in the game. Oh, it turns out Dr. Wily was behind this all along, and he actually has now stolen Gamma, the giant robot that was only to be used for peace. God, I love his eyebrows. I would love to put him... In the Mega Man movie, he must be played by Jeremy Irons. Only Jeremy Irons has the eyebrow capacity to play Dr. Wily. Ah, yes, the chat is making fun of the shocking plot revelation that Dr. Wily was actually evil all along. But, have you figured out yet who Breakman is? Shazma says, what a surprise! The Mad Adventurer says, shocked! I am shocked! O-Dog says, what? I thought he had changed his ways! I just jumped right past that energy tank. I really could have used that. So anyway, this is the shtick of Mega Man. The final level of Mega Man is always Dr. Wily's Skull Fortress. Which he somehow manages to construct a new giant skull-themed fortress. Every game. Which is divided into multiple stages. Each stage has a boss, and each stage presents a couple of different challenges. These green walls can actually be broken with the hard knuckle. One of the trickiest parts about dealing with the Dr. Wily stages is that between stages, all of your weapon energies don't refill. So you have to kind of learn to be conservative. On top of that... Sorry. Shazmas commenting on Dr. Wily's Skull Fortresses. When I said he's got a... You know, he manages to build a new one, everything. She says, and fill it with penguins, like all good villains do. Which actually just came over the chat, so you can see what the delay is like. It's really hard to include the chat into the jokes in the game because the sync is so bad. So as I was saying, one of the hard parts about the Dr. Wily levels is that your weapon energies and item energies do not refill between levels. So it kind of forces you to be conservative and make sure that you keep everything filled, especially because there is always at some point one boss, usually Dr. Wily himself, but sometimes another boss in here, that can actually only be defeated by one certain weapon, and if you don't have that filled up, you can't beat him. This is the Kamagoro generating machine. It's a machine that goes back and forth. It generates turtles. The turtles have exploding shells that they leave around like landmines, and there are little whirlpools that push you around. The whirlpools don't damage you. With each turtle that comes out, the turtles get a little bit faster. And when you have defeated 4 turtles, the machine itself just blows up. And now we move on to level 2. Heat those platforms. Pretty full on everything. Okay. We'll live. I took the wrong ladder. Oh well. Yes, it was a Ninja Turtle dispenser and I destroyed it. Maybe if the turtles had been color-coded, I would have... Uh-oh. Oh, I done fucked up. I am trapped in the spike pit. Yep. Mad Adventure is commenting... He's actually made a couple of comments about them dragging out the game. And I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you there. This is not padding. Okay? With all due respect, there are ways to pad a game. Okay? And that is long, unnecessary backtracking, or having long sequences where there's nothing in particular going on that you have to go through, or long, kind of useless cutscenes, that sort of thing. That's padding. This game presented a lot of levels, and each level was well-designed in its own right and had its own challenges. But each level was a complete level. They very rarely repeated gimmicks, and when they repeated gimmicks, they did it in new ways, so that they weren't simply throwing the same things at you to be repetitious. So, with all due respect, I'm gonna go ahead and say, nope, this is not padded, this is not drawn out, this is getting your damn money's worth. Yeah, I did get a little passionate there, but I gotta be honest, the Mega Man games are some of the best designed games on the original NES, and actually solved a complex problem that very few other video games managed to solve for a long time, and that is how you build a pacing curve and a difficulty curve when you don't know what order the people are going to deal with your challenges in. One of the most interesting things about... I'm standing here, like, monologuing and just getting killed by the Yellow Devil. Holy shit! Okay, that was embarrassing. Sorry about that. But, like... For one second, though, let's actually talk about the boss design thing. Okay? If you actually break down all of the bosses in Mega Man, you'll notice that they fit into actually three major types. No, let's say two major types. There are the bosses that are highly patternized, so that they just do the same thing over and over and over in sequence. And there are the bosses that are they have a random behavior, or they have some other AI to them, but it means that you actually have to pay attention to what they're doing and react. So some of the bosses rely on memorization, and some of the bosses rely on reaction time, which are two kind of different skills. And what that meant is that... Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and save state here. What that meant is two completely different types of players could come in and find at least one boss each that they could deal with and gain a weapon for. which meant that a variety of different player types could break into the boss sequence. This is not going well. Alright, I might have to burn a couple of energy tanks here. Yeah, I'm gonna concentrate, so... It's a little bit easier to dodge him once he's on the screen, because you can see which piece of him is gonna move next. This guy is actually named the Yellow Devil, and he is a sort of reprise of a boss from Mega Man 1. A notoriously difficult boss from Mega Man 1. That's okay, we'll just burn the energy tanks. Who needs them, right? I hate this guy. So his actual correct name is the Yellow Devil Mark II. And no, the Yellow Devil is not a fan name that he was given. There we go. Shazba is saying, is this a robot? And I'm saying, technically everything in Mega Man is a robot, including shrimp, krill, jellyfish. I mean, there's a whole goddamn robot ecosystem in the game. But yeah. So what I was saying, it's not so much the Mad Adventure is going back to what I was saying previously, and that's about how different types of players could break into the game and still find a way to proceed. And then once you had gotten into the boss sequence, you could then learn which bosses were vulnerable to which weapons, and it made it easier. And then if you really wanted to challenge yourself, you could ignore the boss weaknesses and operate without them at all, and just do the bosses in whatever order you wanted and get good at them that way. Or you could deal with some of the bosses using their weaknesses and others just, you know, either learning their patterns or having good reaction time. So, again, that's all really important if you have a game where you don't know what order you're going to present your challenges to, because you're not training the players to deal with the challenges in any sort of proper order, and you also don't know what different people are going to be good at and what you're going to give them a chance to practice at. It was actually a really smart way to solve the problem. Yeah. I locked him down. Now I just gotta wait for him to come back to life. There we go. Oh, this is a fun room. See, and you know what? Even the thing about the jet sled that you put, or the rush jet before, that Mad Adventurer pointed out, where I could have just used the rush jet through the room, but I choose not to because I want to play the challenge. Having that option, again, shows an awareness of your audience. It means that you're going to let people tackle your game in different ways, and to some extent to let them set their own difficulty curve and decide what challenging is. Other games that have done that, you come to think of it, the best example of a game that does that is the Kirby series, which has actually taken a lot of flack because it's really easy. One of the things the Kirby games let you do is fly whenever you want through whatever portion of the game you want. So if you run into a place you can't beat, you can just fly through it. So this is the Mega Man hologram generator. It generates 3 different clones of Mega Man. At any given moment, only one of them is real and takes damage. The other 2 are simply illusions. And then when they, you know, they'll do one pass along their platform and then switch positions. So, and that's that. I mean, there's really not much more to say about them. They're vulnerable to the Search Snake. You can also beat them with the Hard Knuckle. And a lot of people actually like to use the Needle Cannon against them. So, which actually, come to think of it... Oops, forgot that that guy throws a big box of garbage at you. Come to think of it, the Mega Man clones is also a throwback to the first game. One of the bosses of Mega Man 1, of the Dr. Wily castle in Mega Man 1, was a clone of Mega Man. And that one actually was kind of a bitch because it would have whatever weapon you switched to. So, it was vulnerable to all weapons equally. And the trick to dealing with it was not so much figuring out which weapon you were most comfortable using, but figuring out which weapon you were the best at dodging and avoiding. And then I think when, beyond this door, we get to another tradition in the Mega Man series, which is the boss refights. So now I am in a room with 8 teleporters, and each one will lead me to one of the bosses so that I can fight them again. Now here's a really interesting thing that happened in Mega Man 3 and not any of the other Mega Man games. Each boss is actually vulnerable to its own weapon. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and save state just in case here. As I was saying, each boss is actually vulnerable to its own weapon. Which is kinda neat, and it only comes in handy in this sequence now. And likely, most people never stumbled on it. But it's just kind of a neat thing, and it's actually, I think, a throwback to Mega Man 2. In Mega Man 2, for whatever reason, Metal Man, and only Metal Man, was vulnerable to his own weapons, so vulnerable that one hit killed him. Whoops. That was wrong. And in this sequence, each Robot Master drops a full health, or one of the large health pickups when you beat him, which kind of helps you get through the boss rush. I am not going to go ahead and use Gemini Land's weapon against him, because his weapon has enough problems, and I have enough trouble beating Gemini Man. But, there we go. I also used way more magnet missiles than I should have. Because Hardman is kind of difficult to deal with the Hard Knuckle. Because it's such a slow-moving weapon. Alright, that wasn't so bad. I am definitely not going to use Top Man's weapon against him. And the Hard Knuckle is his actual weakness, which you didn't see because he was the first boss I took on. But again, the slow-moving nature of the weapon really works against you. You really want to be up in his face, or else he starts spinning invincibly before you get it off. Just to be on the safe side. Now I'm not going to take any damage from him. I just guaranteed that by using my energy tank. But that's okay. Shadow Man we will definitely... I don't know, let's try the Shadow Blade. Yeah, see, he's not vulnerable enough to that. So we're just gonna go ahead and... use the top spin. Otherwise, you're just screwed. I'm trying to think who is left now. It's gotta be Sparkman and Snake Man. So let's guess this is gonna be Sparkman. I can never remember who's where. And I guess we'll finish on a high note with Snake Man. And we'll try using his weapon on him because the slowdown problem isn't enough. Whoops. I didn't quite clear him, huh? Alright, when I've beaten all of these, a door opens, a door appears, and... actually, I think... I'm trying to remember what I'm gonna need here. Okay. And we can recharge a weapon, and we're gonna go ahead and recharge the hard knuckle. And now we move on to the final stage. And the trick is to... the trick with the final stage is honestly to know what you need. Because as I was saying, the final boss in these games tends to be weak to one or two specific things. Ooh, I'll take an energy tank. So here we have Dr. Wily's Pinbot, which I think we can do with either Hardman or Sparkman. I'll let it come onto the screen. You'll see what its gimmick is in a moment. It's got a cannon mounted on the underside that shoots those slowly spiraling balls. And then when you destroy the cannon, Dr. Wily appears at the top. And he is vulnerable to the hard knuckle. The trickiest thing with him is that he kind of advances on you, and if you're under him, he will squish you. And there we go, Dr. Wily. Who glitched out? Oh, there he is. I thought he glitched out and didn't appear on the screen. Oh, but it's not really Dr. Wily. Oh, how tricksy is Dr. Wily. We're gonna go ahead and refill Hard Knuckle. And the other thing I'm going to refill, hopefully get some weapon pickups here, is Top Spin. And there we go. Fly up, we'll grab an energy tank. I'll grab an extra life, even though if I don't do this in one, it's not going to happen. Alright. And here we have it, the giant robot that was built for peaceful purposes, Gamma. The completely peaceful robot. He fires at you like this, and then eventually... oh wait, Oh, I guess you have to hurt him. Alright. Right. Alright. Oops. I didn't quite get up there. So the trick is to get up there. Oh. Trick is to get up on that platform so that you're high enough to reach him. I keep getting caught under there. I'm gonna... Ah, I got extra energy tanks. Wow. I am just sucking at this. I don't want to break out the Rush Jet. Rush Jet is how pussies do it. Alright. And one hit with the top spin takes out Gamma. And that is Mega Man 3. Who could have thought that the giant spiky punching robot... Oh! And Breakman came and rescued Mega Man. Now, if you watch along the bottom, they're going to list the robots that have been made by Dr. Light, which was actually misspelled in this game to Dr. Wright. And these are the robots from the first Mega Man game, along with their actual job functions. And then you will get the other shocking revelation of this game. Notice that each robot is numbered and they're going in reverse order. Oh, that Roll is actually Mega Man's sister. His original name before he became Mega Man was Rock, so they were Rock and Roll. And Gasp! And so it turns out that Proto Man was actually the brother of Mega Man. He was actually created before Mega Man, and I don't really remember what the whole story was with him. But in the terrible cartoon, which Gremlin is mentioning, there was a terrible Saturday morning Mega Man cartoon. Proto Man was one of those. He kept changing back and forth from good guy to bad guy, and you know, it was always whose side is he on, kind of a thing, until they really played out that plot. But in this one, the canonical explanation for this was that Proto Man in this game was actually fighting Mega Man periodically to train him up, so that he would be strong enough to face Dr. Wily. Yeah, Mad Adventurer says Racer X. Basically, Proto Man was the... O-Dog says, first Dr. Soong made lore, then he made data. And yeah, it's the same relationship. Though, actually, let's see, Proto Man did not have emotions. There's actually, like, the story to Mega Man is actually much more ridiculous than even I have made it out. Particularly the first game, because Mega Man sort of spontaneously developed a sense of justice, which literally said it in the story, that was the thing, was, oh, he's got this programmed sense of justice, we don't know where it came from, but that's why we'll make him the fighting robot. so that he could go save the world from the other crazy robots.